Okay, so for those of you who have just joined us, um, please note that I will be recording this uh, presentation and then uh, put a link on our website for this particular scheme. So, let me start by saying I'm Dr. Alma Rahat. I am an associate professor of data science in Swansea University. I'm also one of the Turing Fellows at the Alan Turing Institute, and I am leading this program with Dr. Megan Van Wycherley. So we both will be responsible for delivering this program to the participants. So, firstly, let me talk a little bit about what this program is, and then I will sort of like the plan is to tell you little bits and pieces about how the program has been laid out and what's in it for you. And I'll talk a little bit about the eligibility criteria as well and show you the key dates. And once I'm done, we can have a quick chat. If you want an individual chat, I can do that too, and we'll have a question answer session. So the main part of the presentation shouldn't take too long. I'll see how long it takes, but I'm here as long as you are here. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. For learning about this particular scheme that we'll be running over summer. So this is supported by Google DeepMind and the HEG Foundation, and Royal Academy of Engineering is basically facilitating this whole program. And we are only one of 11 universities that are holding this particular program. You're of course more than welcome to apply to any other, but Swansea, I would say, it has a fantastic program, and we will be based by the bay. Um, uh, uh, there are special parks for being at Swansea. Right. For those of you who don't know the Royal Academy of Engineering, it is the National Academy of Engineering, and their whole goal is to sort of encourage and support engineers at every level. And they sort of deem computer science and people working with AI and ML in that broad context as well. And it's the National Academy, so they are very much interested in fostering people from all background and make sure there is a diverse workforce. And in terms of the other funders, sort of Google DeepMind is one of the top AI labs in the UK and in the world. So they became sort of famous when in 2016, when their sort of like RL algorithm that they built was able to beat a human player in AlphaGo. And eventually, based on what they did, enabled a couple of their scientists to win Nobel Prizes in 2024. And the HG Foundation is, one of the sort of like institutions that support young people in their careers and make sure that they can develop skills, specifically people who are from a technical field. And we are Swansea University, who are one of the institutes that are running this particular, that has been given a grant to run this particular program. So, firstly, what is this program? The program is basically a summer internship. You can call it a placement as well. It will run between, so at Swansea, it will run between 9 June and 1 August, and you'll be based at the Bay campus. So you'd have to be physically here to do it. And, there are lots of different things, but the main thing that you would have is a supervised individual project in AI or ML area. It could be on the theoretical side, it could be on the sort of like more applied side. We will have colleagues who will supervise you in these projects. So you would do one single project over 8 weeks. So the whole idea is to open you up and give you some insight into what research is like in AI and ML. Okay, so that you get that flavor. And also, alongside your sort of individual project, there would be other a range of professional development opportunities that we have designed specifically for you to develop and certain aspects of your whole skill set. Okay, so firstly, if you have any particular questions, feel free to write it in the chat. I'll get back to them when I can at the end of the presentation, and I'll open up the floor then too for questions and answers. So the individual project, basically, we will send out a call for projects to our colleagues in computer science, and also we have a special center called Zinkovic Center for Data Modeling and Artificial Intelligence, where we have a vast range of capacity and skills and in AI and ML, and different problems that come from working at the sort of interface of multiple disciplines. So we will ask our colleagues to submit lots of ideas about 8-week individual projects that we would expect a second year plus student to be able to do, and they could be in any of optimization, natural language processing, robotics, bioinformatics, and a lot of different disciplines that we work with. And you'll then have the opportunity to actually select the projects. We'll show you, okay, these are the projects. These are sort of like a quick description of each of these projects. You will select maybe 3 or 4 as your top priorities, and then we'll try and apply some sort of matchmaking algorithm to determine which project should be done by whom and so on. Okay. So in terms of professional development, we have a range of things that will happen each week. The specific schedule would be available at the beginning of the program. However, you will have one session with me every week for 2 to 3 hours, where we will actually try and give you a broad overview of how data science works, and sort of give you basic knowledge and training on the whole data science pipeline in terms of how real projects are done. And we will try and bring in some sort of real data from the wild. We have some colleagues in Welsh NHS, for example, working in intensive care units where they need to be able to predict how long someone is going to be in ICU and so on. So we will bring in these data. We'll try and bring in someone who are sort of experienced with that data to give us some insight and into the data, not only what they do with the data, but also give us some idea as to what the impact would be if we were able to sort of do reasonable predictions for them. And these projects we will sort of like split into 2 groups and try and do 2 different projects together, based on what we learn as we go along these 8 weeks. And hopefully right at the end we would be able to sort of give them something reasonable that they can use in the group project. Apart from that, Megan will be providing you with mentoring and pastoral care. She has a wealth of experience working with young people and sort of helping them build up their career and thinking about what should come next in terms of developing into a professional and realizing your full potential. We also have a range of training courses. For example, we will have a specific training course delivered by someone called Dr. Jamie Gallagher, who is an expert in communication, in particular research communication, because, beyond presentation, actually being able to talk about your research and complex topics is an art, and it takes a lot of experience and practice to perfect. However, there are certain recipes that you can follow in order to make it really engaging. And Jamie, I would hope, would give you those tips and tricks. And he himself has a really strong background in research, and also um, uh, is acutely aware of this particular scheme and how it works. And he is hoping to build a training course only for you. Okay. And finally, we have typically regular research presentations at various different workshops, and you will be open to it. And for this particular program specifically, I have invited someone from Exeter University, Professor Fieldson. He is an expert in optimization and machine learning, and he will give you an overview of his research as well. And you can have a one-to-one conversation with him for seeking advice and things like that. So beyond us, as in myself and Megan and other colleagues in the university, you will be exposed to external people as well, and you can get some insight from them as well. In terms of building a community, we just don't want to give you you know just a work experience, but beyond that, we'll try and give you a whole flavor as to how is it like to work in a university, work in academia, and sort of like help you build a community as well, so that whatever experience you take away with you and the network that you develop here, that persists beyond just this program as well, and you can truly utilize it for your career going forward. Okay. So for that, we will try and invite some of our PhD students to work with you and sort of go on weekly excursions as a group, and do some sort of like social activities. Um, of course, you will have regular meetings with your supervisors where you'd learn how to perform and conduct a research project. And in the group project, you'll see how real world projects are delivered in the wild, essentially. And through all that, you would also build up this sort of sense of community, we would hope, with us and within your colleagues as well. So with all those different elements of the program, I would hope that you'd see that this program really allows you to gain hands-on research experience in AI and ML. But beyond that, also you would be able to sort of work and with some people who are working with real projects, and build up a network with them and learn from them, so that you can build up your CV and take your career forward. Now, in terms of eligibility, the essential eligibility criteria, they're all sort of like noted down in our on our website. Please do have a look at them. And you have to meet all the essential eligibility criteria. So you have to be a resident in the UK, and eligible to pay UK home fees. Um, Also, you have to be able to prove the right to work and live full time in the UK without any barriers to that. In terms of where you are in your studies, you should be an advanced undergraduate, which means that you have, by the time the program starts, you should have finished your second year at least. You could be someone who finished their degree recently but haven't started their master's or postgraduate research degrees yet. Okay. So that's that's the sort of core eligibility criteria, and you have to meet all of these ones. There are, of course, because this is specifically designed for people from a disadvantaged socioeconomic background, you have to meet at least one of the socioeconomic criteria. So you have either been able to either been eligible for free school meals, or you normally or typically lived in areas which were sort of like lowest two deciles of in terms of postcode measure. Um, so you may have been at some stage in local authority care, um, or sort of like full state support for maintenance for the undergraduate study. So all these criteria that we have, we will, of course, before finalizing your placement, we will have to check them and make sure that there is sort of like appropriate documentation that proves your eligibility for this program. Um, in terms of dates, so you have the webinar today, and this will be sort of like uploaded on the system later on. But the application deadline is 14th of March, and then we would hopefully be able to do an interview on the 26th of March, and then early Aprilish we should be able to tell you whether you have a place or not, and start checking all the documentation to make sure that you meet the criteria. And finally, the program starts in 9th of June, and it will run until 1st of August. Now, as I was saying, like we are only one of the 11 institutions who are holding this, who received, a grant to run this program. And in Wales, we are only one of two. Swansea and Cardiff Met are running it in Wales. Feel free to look at other universities as well. If you would like to apply there, feel free to do that as well. And if you're a Swansea student, or even not, and you thought like I could help in any way, feel free to reach out. I'll be more than happy to help. In terms of anything that I can do with you. We'll just set up a meeting and discuss. Um, but I think a couple of them have already closed for applications. So Exeter and Cambridge, I believe, have closed for applications, but rest of them are still open. So have a look at what program that they have and whether it is appealing to you or not. Um, Finally, here are a couple of important links. I will send these slides, of course, to you and whoever registered through the system, and I will also make sure that it's uploaded on the web page as well. So we are right at the end. I'm gonna stop recording at this point because there is no point really, to make sure that you don't feel any sort of pressure in terms of asking any questions. So feel free to ask whatever questions you have, and I am going to stop recording. Okay, just give me a moment, and then I will answer your questions.